Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon.
Tony Dudzik of Pick Guardian.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome. And we've got a very special, very long-distance guest on the line right now.
Frank Deimel, Deimel Guitarworks.
Frank Deimel of Deimel Guitarworks, calling all the way from...
Well, it's close to Berlin, Germany, but we are on the countryside now.
Yes, the beautiful countryside of near Berlin, Germany. So we are super excited to be talking with him today and to share what he's got to say with all of you who are listening. We are grateful for you choosing us and downloading our podcast. We love doing this, and we love that you continue to download. And, as I always say, please hit us up with any questions. We get lots of them. We love answering them. We're pretty prompt, I think. And between the knobs that typically grace the microphones, we're able to answer most of the questions. I'm a master of none, but the good thing is that most of the other knobs are masters of something.
And if we're not, we know somebody else.
That's true.
I know a guy.
That's right.
Yeah, we got lots of people who know guys. So anyways, it is a beautiful Sunday morning today, and it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Germany.
Right. Yeah, a bit rainy though, but hopefully it's getting better soon.
Well, that makes everything green.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I've had a busy week this week in music. Why don't I'll just start. How's that? I never start.
What's new in your guitar world?
Well, had a gig last night, and I'd spoken previously about setting up for this gig because I was playing the Godin with a P90. It's a hollow body, and it's an arch top, and just trying to dial in the sound from different ways, and was a little worried about it because I had no idea what the room was like at all. And we got there, and it was this grand ballroom that was built in 1918.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. So it was a 2-tier ballroom. So there was a balcony walkway, so people could mingle upstairs and kind of look over the edge. So this was built for big bands to play in. Hmm. And the sound in this place was just awesome.
Orchestra.
It was all wood on the inside. There wasn't a bunch of, weird metal and girders and anything like that. Everything was all wood. And
no rotary girders.
I was checking the specs on the end line for the rotary girder.
We had a big raised stage, and up on the catwalk there was I'm calling it a catwalk. I don't know what it's called, a balcony walk, whatever. There's probably some the promenade. There were all these pictures of all the people that had played there throughout the years, and talking about like Tommy Dorsey, like Frank Sinatra, like. Wow. I mean, big name. Like it was just this wall of fame, and it was funny because every headshot was kind of the same. It was like, lean in with your left shoulder. We're gonna take a great picture of you. They all looked. It was a time capsule, and it was a little bit Shining-esque. I'm not gonna lie, because Frank, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie The Shining, but.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so when he's looking at sort of the old historical pictures of the hotel,
yeah,
and everybody's partying and looking up at the camera, it was a lot like that. It was. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little creepy because you're like, these were actual people having the time of their life right here, and they were captured in an instant. 100 years ago. Yeah. It was 100 years old.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about, and then.
Where was the place?
Valley Dale.
Oh, Valley Dale. Okay.
Yeah. The first thing I said when we walked up, I said, I expect Ted Knight from Caddyshack to pop out any minute and start yelling at me. It just had there was an oldness to it. You just have to look at it. And we pulled up in this parking lot, and it was the parking lot was just shredded, just old rubble, like concrete. We're like, guys, like, repaved the parking lot here, right?
Right.
Well, wasn't a parking lot. So we found out, looking at these old pictures, there was the indoor venue, And then there was this beautiful sort of amphitheater that had benches along the side, and it was, and then it was like a concrete dance floor.
Oh, wow.
It was just so neat, and the sound was amazing, and it was great. I had a good time.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was my music stuff for the Tony, go.
Okay. What do I have? What's going on in my world? Well, let's see. Oh, yeah. The big thing this week or so was my beloved Sparkle Drive by Voodoo Labs passed away.
Oh.
And I was using that
we'll
primarily.
Have to RIP the 4 on the floor.
Yeah. So I have to redo my 4 on the floor. But the good news is I was using the Sparkle Drive, I think, as we talked about, primarily for like a lead boost or and that type of thing. So in my circle of guitar experts, we came to the conclusion that the best option would be the Exotic EP Booster.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is, and I have to say it's the best. I got a used one for I think $75, and it's the best $75 I've spent.
Mm-hmm. At least since you were 20. What's up?
Yeah, $75 bought me a whole Les Paul back then. But no, I'm really pleased with it. It's the circuitry is meant to duplicate that of an Echoplex preamp.
Mm-hmm. Thus the EP.
Thus the EP. And
that's made by Exotic Pedals.
Exotic with an X.
Right.
And real happy with that. So shout out to Exotic.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, Frank, why don't we have you go?
Well, yeah, as a luthier, I'm always looking around also on social media, what's going on, and the most impressive news to me was like that Fender Corporation Fender guitars, they announced to drop the rosewood guitars, and they want to replace the fretboards now with ebony and power ferro. And I thought, wow, now they use other tropical woods. Why do they do this? And I guess in a couple of years, ebony and power ferro will be on the list of CITES. Mm-hmm. So that was for me the most impressive guitar-related thing happening besides my daily building and repair processes here. And yeah.
How difficult is getting woods like that in Germany right now?
Oh, actually, it's not really difficult. It's just more paperwork.
More paperwork, more money.
Yeah, just exactly more work and more bureaucracy. And we just got 20 new Indian rosewood fretboards from our supplier. It was no problem, and he made note on the invoice where he got the stuff from, and so we have to always put this on our invoices now. So it's just a little bit more of paperwork, but it's not a problem to get it. It's not forbidden.
Mm-hmm. But I suppose if you're Fender and buying them probably a pallet at a time or 5 pallets at a time, probably a little more difficult.
Yeah, I think also it's for the market. They want to make a positive signal that we are not using rosewood anymore. And I don't know, maybe it's just a marketing thing,
I've got a question about that. Obviously, there are other woods, and we see a lot of companies, not just like guitar or anything like that, but just companies around the world making pretty big choices now to say, you know what, we're going to do the right thing. It might be hard, but it is going to be the right thing ultimately long term. And they had the opportunity really to say, we're not going to use another small exotic wood. I mean, it's not like they're
going to use it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ebony is certainly one of those ones that's like, that's the one you're going to choose? But obviously it has great acoustic characteristics. But I guess my thought was that they could have said, we're going to go with a totally other either material altogether
Yeah.
Which, could have been heresy if they had chosen, some sort of synthetic kind of substance or a, combination of things, or just a totally more available, more sustainable wood. And my question from that is, as a luthier, what would you have done?
Well, actually, I'm in a network now. We have a collaboration with the government to do some science about it. And there's a university around, far away from here. They approached us about this network. And it's about thermal treatment of local woods. So that these woods are going to have qualities, another or a new quality, which may reach up to a tropical wood. And we are doing tests, and it's about 2 to 3 years now. And the goal is that each partner in the end gets his own oven, a small oven where you can adjust your temperature, and you can do your own little series of local woods.
Oh, wow.
Normally, if you do this, you have to ask a huge supplier, and they have like container-sized ovens. The thing is, we are doing research on that topic, and we want to come up with a good result where we can prove that this is a really good replacement material, and it will also have acoustic. It has an acoustic quality. Mm-hmm. Normally, if you say, okay, I just use whatever bakelite or another resin combined with wood dust or so, it does not have any structure. But if you have wood has a structure which you need to use in building guitars. And so it's not easy. But the best way, we think, is to use local woods and treat them. And we even got some sample results. For instance, I don't know if there's 2 names for the wood. We call it Robinia, Acacia. It's similar.
Robinia, Acacia?
Yes, Robinia. Okay. And if you treat this wood, it gets dark, brownish dark, as looks like chocolate. Huh. And it's really, really hard and has acoustic qualities. It's, I think, a good way to use that, for instance. And the customer from far away won't never notice that this is not rosewood.
Let me ask you this: is there a lot of technique changing when you have different, woods like that because of the density and things like that? Does that really alter your technique and force you to change the way you do things?
Yeah, this is the things we are going to research, and we want to do test series. How you have to glue it, and does the glue attach to it, and you have to put the frets in. How does it react when you press in a fret? Because the material also gets a little bit brittle, and it gets sort of destroyed in the oven to a certain degree. But we have to adjust that degree. So
interesting.
We will see.
I am curious. The Hagstrom sells their fretboards as deemed as resonator fretboards, and from what I've been able to uncover, those are basically emulating ebony. It's from the information I've gathered, and this isn't gospel. So if anybody knows the actual gospel for this, from what I understand, it's layers of paper and phenolic resin.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that is it.
So that gives you your structure that you were talking about, and the resin.
There's a company in Washington. Last NAMM show I went to. They make, and it comes in various colors and everything, but their biggest color, I guess, would be dark brown black to emulate ebony, and it has about the same density. And it's as you say, it's paper with resin and compressed in some megaton press that makes it very dense material.
Yeah.
The only problem I've heard about it is cutting it is very tough on blades and routers because it's a tough. That's not unlike ebony. Ebony is kind of tough on router bits things too.
Yeah, things have to be adjusted to that material, of course. Are you talking about the Blackwood tech? Is it that material?
I think that might be it. Are they in Washington State?
Ah, okay.
So
there's another company called Rocklight, and
I think that's who I met. Where I saw their samples. I think it was Rocklight.
Yeah. As far as I know, they are from UK originally.
Okay.
And I have samples here, and we also did some test series with it. We put it in water overnight, and then you could see it got as double as big as before. Oh. So it got compressed in, as you said, a megaton press or whatever. It's similar stuff. They say there is ebony inside, so it seems to be cutoffs or sending debris or whatever. Sawdust, and they press it together with resin or so.
Yeah.
And there is also sort of a structure in there, but not like grain or so.
Yeah.
Oh.
That seems to be the benefit of doing sort of paper layers. It's almost like a samurai blade of a fretboard, just layer upon layer upon layer.
Well,
I mean, the customers also expect some. They want to see the grain, on like highly figured rosewoods, and that's appealing to the eye. But also another difficulty. But maybe with local woods, it's possible. I don't know.
I wonder if that's changing too. I think. I mean, there's certainly a faction of the guitar world that is completely enamored with exotic woods, and for some reason we talked about this before, but the bass, there's a faction in the bass community. There's like, if you don't have a bass that has at least 7 different exotic woods, it's not worth your time. So they may have a hard time in the future. I don't know how that's going to work out, but
And the other thing which I don't understand, actually, why we are talking about this topic, maybe in the last sentence to it, why don't they put new trees into the ground when they cut off the tropical trees? Like sustainability thoughts. No? We are in the German forest. It's like if you cut some trees here, you have to put in new ones, and that the following generations have wood. And the German forest, in its entire volume, is growing now. And every 20 minutes, there's a new house growing, they say.
That's awesome.
And maybe it's not possible on in tropical areas. I don't know.
So that, maybe you have the answer to this because you work with woods more than the three of us do. But what does the tendency to try to employ the use of tropical woods? When we say exotic woods, they're almost all tropical, right?
Yeah, sure.
So what is it about the tropical woods that has a quality that we can't find elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a really nice Brazilian rosewood fretboard, which is like 50 years old, you tap it, it's amazing. It's like a bell. And it's really true. It's not only because it was dark or available, it really sounds great. There's no way around it. If you compare this to Indian rosewood makes a dull resonance. Brazilian is like a bell. It's amazing. But the question is, if in the 7th row of a public audience, anybody will notice that there's a Brazilian rosewood on the guitar versus whatever else. So it's more for the builder, more for the player. It's for the player's pleasure. Actually know that he has like high quality stuff in his guitar.
I see. Yeah, I guess it must be something that's coming out of the minerals and the water, a combination of minerals and the water. Because I mean, those are really fast growing trees. In the rainforest. So
it's warm. all year round.
It's all, and then of course all those woods, or many of those woods, are very oily or have a lot of resin in them. So it affects the tone as well.
Interesting. Wood. It's the Wood podcast. Well, hey, that was super fun talking about. Jared's chewing his lip off here trying to talk about it. If you say that Gibson L6, I'm cutting off your mic.
That's a beautiful pickguard now.
Oh, yeah. That's been in the case for a while.
Good. Keep it there. What's next?
Probably not. No, this my grandpa's brother's son-in-law's son-in-law.
That makes him
and
what
I said
to you?
that. Well,
Nothing.
an off to the distance cousin, if anything, nothing.
Okay.
Anyway, he's a really good guitar player. Great gypsy jazz player. Fantastic fella. His name's Mike Merritt, but he goes by Muffy Merritt. Married a distant cousin of mine, as I thoroughly explained a second ago, and they moved to Nashville. He picked up an Epiphone custom, a Les Paul custom Epiphone version.
The one I'm trying to sell. I'm just saying.
Well, he paid $75 for it. So.
Not that. I'm not doing that.
But how this relates to me is he called me up and he's like, "Hey man, I need a set of pickups and they need to be like Neil Young." And he sent me a picture, and wow.
So elaborate on that.
Okay, Neil Young is famous for, one of his guitars that he has, I believe, now I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a 1953, and it's been painted black, the top has. And
I thought it was just a black top.
Yeah, maybe
Black
it is
Beauty.
a black top. No, it's not a Black Beauty. It's got trapezoids.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure and that would be correct for a 53. The top was painted black at some point, probably. It's got an aluminum pickguard.
Yes.
Aluminum. I'm gonna guess that it's an aluminum P90
It's called
cover.
Old Black.
Yeah, it's called Old Black.
Self-made. The cover is self-made.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So.
Yeah.
And the bridge is a Firebird pickup, an old gold cover bridge. And, we're finding out that if you want a metal beauty ring that goes around a humbucker route or a P90 route, probably on this guitar most likely, but nobody makes them in a regular production that we know of. So I found a brass version, and you can get plastic all day long for a few bucks, but I got this brass version, and I think we're gonna go ahead and make some of those, and I think I'm gonna try to offer this as something, but for a very short period of time. But just finding this stuff that's what I love about what I do all the time. Is trying to find this stuff to put together, and who knows what Neil Young was thinking or what was going through his mind when he put this thing together, and who knows how long ago it was, but I find that really interesting, and that's kind of been consuming me a little bit this past week in my guitar world, is trying to find these pieces to put together this conglomerate of rare stuff that you don't see. Can you buy a mirrored pickguard, a plastic one, for a few bucks on eBay? Sure you can. But what's the fun in that?
It's not mirrored, though. It's so...
his isn't mirrored. It's so shiny because it's been, rubbed so much from
it's
playing.
chrome.
His?
Yeah.
Isn't it
So
aluminum?
the interwebs are helping me out real quick. I'm not
So that's
totally...
that's a chromed pickguard.
It says here that the let's see, it was it presumably also had a white plastic pickguard at some point. Let's see, the pickguard is now chrome on brass / bronze.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's available. Yeah, you can buy that. Mm-hmm.
So
Where?
Schaller has that. Schaller, Germany.
Yeah.
They are offering metal parts in. They have knobs and switch tips, pot knobs and pickguards in metal chrome.
Bingo.
Yeah, well, those are also Schaller tuning keys as well. And just a little bit of more history on Old Black. It was originally a gold top
Right. That's what I thought it was, because in 53, that's all you can get.
And it originally had the humbucker, but was replaced by... it didn't originally have a humbucker. It would have been a P90. Right, sorry. Yep. But it says here that the bridge pickup was replaced by a Gretsch Dynasonic single coil pickup. Eventually, a humbucker pickup from Gibson Firebird guitar replaced the Dynasonic.
Right.
So, so just in case you're driving along going, it wasn't a Firebird, it was a Dynasonic. You guys don't know what you're talking about.
He changed it out. So that's that whole thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have read an interview about his guitar tech, and he had a very nice story to that guitar. Neil was asking if he can replace the frets. The frets were totally played down. Mm-hmm. The notes were not ringing anymore, and he had problems intonating and so. And then, he said, no problem. I changed the frets. He gave him the guitar back. And then he said, immediately put back the old frets. I can't play this thing.
Wow.
He had to manage to put in these old frets again.
Wow.
Which I wouldn't do. I mean, it's a totally difficult job.
No. But it's Neil Young. You have to listen to Neil Young.
You have to.
So this whole thing has been really fun and educational to me. I love it when people call me and request things like that. So
it's been educational for all of us, Jared.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. No, I had a question for you, Frank, about I noticed you do a lot of anodized stuff, guards, which are really difficult here for some reason in the U.S. to get a hold of. And I don't work with metal, but is that something that you do in-house, or do you have a company there that does your anodizing and aluminum guards?
We have a company in Berlin. They are doing it entirely. We are just designing them here on Illustrator. Mm-hmm. We send them the file. It's a DXF file. And they make it. They cut it with, I think it's either CNC or laser. And then they put, and they anodize it. And they have like 24 different colors. And they can mix them all.
Yeah. No, the things that I've seen online are really nice.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Well, hey, that's a good segue. Really nice guitars.
Thanks.
Deimel Guitarworks. So for those listening, wondering why the heck we're talking to Frank all the way in Germany, I ran across his work on Instagram. It is actually one of his special run guitars that somehow made it into my feed, and I dang near dropped the phone because it was just I'd never seen anything like it. They're the custom ones that he does that his wife actually works on, and Frank will get into that a little bit. But from there, I dug deeper into his more. The work that he's known for, and I was really interested. So we contacted him, and here we are now. If you are not driving and you want to follow along, you can check out at Deimel Guitarworks. That's Deimel Guitarworks on Instagram, or go to DeimelGuitarworks.com and get a good idea of what exactly we're talking about. And then you have a good visual to follow to say, well, like, holy moly, these are pretty sweet. So Frank, if you could just give us a quick understanding of how you got started in guitar. You can start wherever you like, but it's always fun to find out, what was your first guitar and who inspired you, and then how did you ultimately get into luthiery?
Okay, yeah, I start. The story goes like this. My mother asked me when I was around 6, what do you want to do, like playing soccer or playing guitar? I said, okay, I'll try out the soccer. And then there were all these rude guys from the village I was born. And I said, no. I'd rather go for the guitar. Let me try out the guitar. So I had a classical training for like 2 years, and then I dropped it, and I was not doing it anymore, like typical for 6 or 7, 8-year guy. And then I never didn't touch it till I was 14, where my brother brought in an old Japanese SG copy, and he brought it in at midnight almost, and I knew he would come with that. And then I sneaked into his room, and that was my first. I touched the guitar, and it was like an ignition. I thought like, wow, that's an electric guitar, and it had this smell of mahogany with this polyurethane finish from Japan, and I don't know, it's still in front of me like it was yesterday.
Wow!
But it had a broken neck. And yeah, my father he's a dentist. He's a teeth maker. I don't know the exact word for in English. Mm-hmm. He was making new teeth, and he is a craftsperson. And we had also a craft room, and we started to repair that guitar. And I was so hooked to it to work on something which you later can use as a musical instrument, and it's something you can paint, you can cut, you can sand, and then it makes sound. And I was really like, wow, that's it. And then I couldn't stop thinking about it. I'm in the school, I was drawing designs in the books, and I was collecting parts. Friends of mine gave me old necks. I was cutting a body out of the kitchen plate of my mother. And I started buying tools. I was, for Christmas, I wanted to have a router, and so piece to piece, the room filled up with guitar related tools, and I was reading guitar magazines, and was like really sucking up each content about how to make them. And I have a collection of these magazines. I still have that collection. It's like more than 500 magazines. And I couldn't never throw them away. And there was no internet at that time, you know. You couldn't learn making guitars except you would go have a official training. My parents expected that I will do the same like them, to make teeth, and I said no, I'm not going to make teeth. So I escaped basically when I was 18 or 19. I went to Berlin with my girlfriend, and to just escape out of this situation of taking over the business of my parents. And I wanted to be a luthier, and I did everything to do it. And so I had a training for 2 years, furniture repair. And then I eventually got to the university, because I was trying to find something where I could hone my skills. And that was industrial design at an art school. And the thing is, I never finished that study. I just started my own business during that university time. And I just never got a diploma. So as I was already working as a luthier in shops in Berlin, and I was doing a lot of repairs. The city was since 1998. I made my business, started my business, and we had like average 1,000 bands in that town.
Wow!
Whoa!
And even in my street, I knew that there's like 40 guitars in the homes of people, because they bring them to my shop and want to have new strings, buy a plaque, or have a repair. And I was, in the end, there was so much repairs, because there was not much guys in the city doing this. And but I wanted to make guitars, and I ended up making guitars in the night. And that was not my idea of. There was just too much repairs, and so I 5 years ago I decided that I will not accept any repairs anymore, and I started to just build. I did a lot of custom guitars, But they were all like, once done, out of the house. So I never have had work on the wall to show. And so I started to create the models we are now having on our website. And I only focused on that. I stopped doing anything else. And that was a very good decision.
Man.
And since then we are taking orders, working on the guitars, and we try to, especially also my wife does that. She's getting in touch with artists via social media management or whatever. We try the direct way, and we even go to concerts backstage, show them guitars, and give them, not for free, but just to check them out on the stage or whatever. If they want to buy it, they can buy the guitar. And so it happened that Lee Ronaldo bought this 12-string guitar, very like 12 years ago. That was my first contact to the showbiz world or big bands. And since then we are working this way, and the internet is helping enormously. Without internet, I couldn't work.
Yeah.
So you have three, well, actually, I guess maybe 3.5 standard models if you count the Firestar bass. But you've got the Firestar, which is your take on an offset, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You have the Double Star, which is your take on one of my favorite guitars ever, the Les Paul Special Double Cutaway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you have the Single Star, which is the Les Paul Special Single Cutaway.
Yeah.
And then you also do custom. And those, you have a bass too, which is basically the Firestar bass, which is an offset bass.
Exactly.
I think we've discussed this with other luthiers before, but the idea of taking a known design and saying, okay, here is a design that has been accepted, it is loved, and how do I make that my own, but still retain the familiarity so that it's not so alien that people don't buy it?
Exactly.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I love to talk about that. It's a good question. I really want to. Well, first I have to say I love vintage guitars. I have a '59 Les Paul Junior, and I had a customer in Berlin who is collecting all these guitars, and he's also playing them, and so he repeatedly brought them into my shop, and I had the chance to examine them. And he even left the guitars at my place for a week or so. I had a '59 Les Paul Standard for 1 week. And I could just, see what's the advantage and why people love those guitars. And but I was not having fun just to make a copy out of them.
Yeah.
And I don't see the reason to copy them. Because then there's no real development of the electric guitar in itself. And so many people think, let's just make Les Paul and I put another headstock on it. So I don't like the idea, because there's so many good Les Pauls out there, and there's one factory making them. It's called Gibson. And why should I compete with them?
Right.
And with maybe getting into trouble,
Yeah.
And so, then I started to think about why don't you mix the classic designs and take the best out of both worlds and just put them together in a good, fashionable way that people will like it, because they have an association to to several parts of it, which they know. And I also want to pick up the customer where he feels, where he is, where he already feels good. And if you pick up a Stratocaster, you don't think about the guitar itself anymore. You will just play music with the sound of a Stratocaster, but your mind is about music and not about how edgy or painful or heavy the guitar is. and because the design is really well done, and it's this is something which I also wanted to have in these newer hybrid types, that it's comfortable, it's reminding you of something old or vintage, having the quality of vintage, and maybe even having a better quality of vintage, because not every hardware part or every detail was really good. Some are improvable, especially on offset guitars. We are using the mastery bridge, which is, I think, of course, a very good invention to make them better. And
you're using mastery tremolos or vibratos, right?
As well, yeah. We are having custom made. They are making them custom for us with our engraved name, and I was cooperating with Woody on the plate design. I was sending him my ideas about how the plate should look, and he agreed to it, and he said he had a similar idea, and so we came up with this original mastery vibrato.
That's awesome. If you guys who are listening want a really good example of this, a recent one, you not too long ago put up a couple images of a black fire star. Sorry.
Yeah. I know, I'm mixing up people.
And it's like almost like a satin black, and you essentially, it's kind of a Jaguar jazz mastery kind of thing, but you really did just take all the parts that are on either of those guitars and completely rearrange them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really cool. I didn't catch it, to be honest. I didn't catch it at first, but one of the I think probably really innovative moves that you made was actually putting the bridge pickup behind the mastery bridge.
Yes. Yeah.
That's super unique. And you also have your on-off toggles that would typically be up towards the upper horn, down way back by the actual butt of the guitar. So all of your controls are kind of in the same place. This was really neat.
The reason for it is a custom request. I had a customer from Latvia. He's a noise musician. He's not making guitar. He's not playing actual guitar. He's making noise with it. It's experimental way of making music, and badly paid. So, but maybe he's doing another job or whatever, I don't know. And he said to me, I don't want to have anything in my moves. When I'm playing, or he's hitting the strings in a hard way, or he's making strange moves with it, so he does not want to touch any knob. And he was insisting on that I put a lot of stuff into it, because he wants to make a lot of noise with it. But it has to be all on the lower side, down right.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I tried to manage it, and we had to figure out how to put in all the stuff. There's a kill switch, we have a piezo in it, we have a Leslie unit in it, and there's like the toggle, the 5-phase switch, and all this has to be there, and the battery and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And the vibrato.
And the vibrato. So
wow.
Actually, there's a lot of routes, and if you take off the back cover and the vibrato, there's only a thin wall between the vibrato cavity and the electronic cavity.
Yeah, so that's a lot of electronics in there.
Yeah, and then he in the end he was really happy, and he has a new creative tool. He likes to figure out the combinations of the effects, and it's really also the pickup behind the bridge. I have seen these ideas on Japanese experimental guitars. There were in the 80s, 90s some Japanese bands. I don't remember their names, but they had pickups all over the guitar.
Yeah.
they were putting them on the headstock.
Yeah, behind the nut.
Behind the nut. There was, and so I it's not my idea. It's not grown on my own. So but I just said I can do this and offer it, and it picks up the strings behind the bridge, and you can make, even when you can take off the other pickups and only this one on, you can still play, and the pickup will take the sound of the regular strings, the regular playing, and it sounds like very far away.
Yeah.
That's neat. I would love to hear that. Like,
then you can put on the piezo, you can kill the sound with the kill switch, you can put on the Leslie, and it all mixes up, and then it's very interesting.
Wow. What was the first model you started working on?
The first one was the Firestar.
Oh wow. Okay.
On our regular series or custom.
Okay, that's interesting because that's obviously a more complex design, and so typically you see people starting out with the simpler.
I mean, maybe I've not understood the question in a correct way. The first guitar I was actually working on was the double cut design.
I see. Okay.
When I was young and starting building.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
yeah, that's also my personal love, and where I really love the harmony of the simple of the body outline. I just love it. I can't even explain why I love it, but it's appealing to me.
You have a friend in that. It is sort of unexplainable. First time I saw one, I said, I love that.
yes, exactly. Also, why the pickup? I mean, the neck is attached to the body at the last fret, and this looks so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, one pickup guitar, and
yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
I think let's kind of touch on some of the other design things that you've chosen to do that I think when we were talking about taking something that was familiar and making it your own, you seem to have made some choices that feel like they are becoming or have become already, and I'm just not aware of it yet because, I don't have a long history of knowing your brand, but there are some signature things that you seem to do on your guitars that seem like they actually could become sort of normal and copied.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on any of that, or?
Yeah, that's in a way it's true. I mean, I've also noticed that there is a movement now where a lot of people create similar offset type guitars. And it seems to be like maybe I was not the first, but one of the first ones who, used these. Well, the basic idea is to mix the non-reverse Firebird with the Jazzmaster Jaguar designs. Mm-hmm. And I'm loving the music played with offset guitars. And all kind of noise music, or like Sonic Youth, or shoegaze music, or even with drop-down tunings and more the experimental ways of it. And so it turned out to be, by putting these elements together, there were like typical things which have to be there, which is a pickguard. We are making these 3-piece pickguards in our own way, and then there's these offset tremolo custom version, and then these switch sections, which we see as a creative element. And I understood why Leo Fender was putting on all these switches, but they were sometimes on the wrong position, like pickup routing or extra effects like bass cut, or what we are using, piezo, you say, I think.
Piezo.
And this is something where we want to give the musician a tool to make more creative sounds. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea behind it. And we see the guitar and the offset guitar in general as a tool for creativity more than a Les Paul or a Strat. And you can play behind the bridge. You can make all kinds of different noises, which you can't do on a Les Paul. And that's why it's so appealing.
Is there a particular band or particular artist that you listen to, like a favorite that maybe had an influence on how you made guitars or how you wanted to make them sound? Or is there any, what other influences have you had along with just being, interested in building guitars? What other outside influences?
Yeah, one of my all-time favorites is Frank Zappa and Carlos Santana. So it's a little bit strange because it does not have anything to do with the offset guitars or the musicians who normally play these kind of guitars. But I like the Frank Zappa thing is he also used a lot of effects and electronics in his guitars. He was customizing them, and so with this he was trying to get a very unique tone, a signature sound on his own. And I really loved the album Shut Up and Play Your Guitar. One that was the first album I bought from him, and I was like 17 or so, and I listened to it in the night. And I really loved how the Mootron biphaser and the feedback of flangers and high distortion came together to a very, very, like for me, it was like out of the universe sounds.
Santana was the same way. He had a guitar that actually had an LS6 for a little while.
Oh, geez, here we go.
But he did. But the reason he wanted that because it had so many different sounds. So
yeah,
I know Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead. He was the same way too. He had these guitars that had hundreds of different sounds and different combinations of pickups and all this and that. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Can we talk a little bit about your the Leslie?
Yeah, this is something. The Leslie was not. The idea came from a friend of mine. His name is Pascal Stoffels. He's a Belgian guy, and we met in Berlin. And the idea is 18 years old already. He was starting with experimenting on his guitars. By also thinking about what can be done to it, which is not usual. And I don't know how or why he came up with it, but he attached a motor to the pickups. He used a real electric motor, and there was a disc on top, which was where the pickups were attached to. And while the disc was rotating, it was switching the pickups.
Like a servo kind of a motor?
Yeah, electric, a little model motor.
Oh, okay, a little tiny electric rotary motor that just would spin.
Yeah. And he made little contact things out of copper with springs, pressure springs, and so that the pickups could be soldered to it. And this motor was turning, and the disc was then switching the pickups.
Let me ask you this. Did the pickups pick up the sound of the motor?
Oh, no, that was actually not the case, which was quite interesting. And I also thought like, wow, this will make a lot of noise. But what was the problem was that there was a clicking switch sound in between.
The connections tapping.
Yeah, exactly. And then you had like the changing of the sound, but you also had the tick, 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 tick in between. And that was like funny, but we didn't like it. And we said this has to be deleted somehow. And we tried to figure out how to do it mechanically, and there was no real solution to it. So we asked, how maybe a friend of us who is doing amp repairs can make us a circuit. And then they figured out something. Actually, it's a very, very simple thing. It's a stereo panner now. It's just panning 2 signals.
Huh.
And it's deleting the noise, the clicking noise in the middle. So it's oscillating.
Nice.
So now it's a chip, not a motor.
Yeah, exactly. Now we have a circuit with a chip. There's 2 chips on it and several capacitors and resistors, and it's perfect. I have a friend who is also making pedals, and he's doing these circuit for me.
Very cool.
Wow. I am so super intrigued by that. I really want one of those now.
Here's an idea.
Do you sell those? Are they only in your custom guitars, or?
Yeah, for the we don't want to sell them as a unit, as a single unit. At least not now. We want to use them for to sell our guitars, and but we have ideas about replacing the rhythm section of a Jaguar Jazzmaster with that.
Jeez,
very cool.
And it's actually possible. The only problem is you have to put a battery in the guitar. And we still have not found a good way to deal with the battery case. I mean, I don't think a lot of people want to put a battery in their vintage guitar.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
the rhythm section can be used. You can use the wheelers for speed and intensity, and you can use the switch for on-off, and that's no problem.
So anybody that is following along, you can go check this out at Deimel Guitarworks, Deimel Guitarworks, and then look for on the homepage at the bottom. There's a section, and it's Leslie. So it's Leslee.
Yeah, because Lee Ronaldo had the first version, and he also supported us with this idea to make it.
Yeah. Wow, that is so intriguing. I want to hear that so bad. So
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Stereo.
From far away, you think, okay, that's a Univibe sound or something like that. But if you listen really closely, you notice there's the difference between neck and bridge pickup.
Yeah.
And bright, warm. And there's a certain phasing when they swap. And that's making it unique.
I think that sounds okay. So I love vibe, and I love that whole sound is one of my favorite things in guitar, and that is very limited because you're essentially taking the signal from the guitar, so you don't have the choice to mess around with your pickups. You're just taking whatever signal's coming out of there, and then you're doing the wobbly bit to it. But the idea of using the actual pickups to do that is just so cool.
Well, yeah, because you'll have the low ends, or you'll have the lower end vibration, and then the higher end. It's just a total difference. You're getting that oscillating sound directly from the strings.
Yeah.
And on that black guitar we were talking about, the noise guitar, you can switch between the behind bridge pickup and the bridge pickup, working in the Leslie circuit.
That's pretty cool.
That would give you some real interesting effect.
It's like the real high strings on a harp, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking of right now. To utilize that pickup, you would pluck the strings behind the bridge, and
or an arch top or something like that that's got that long lead down to the tailpiece.
Right, that would sound cool too.
So let's quickly talk about, one of the most obvious things, if you're looking at your Instagram, you're like, hey, these are really cool guitars. Look at the anodized pick guards. These are really cool. Wait, what is that? And that's what I did when I saw the Artist Series guitars.
Yeah.
So again, for those who are not familiar, let me just give you a real brief description. These are natural finish in the entire body, and neck are natural finish.
Yeah, the body is swamp ash, the neck is maple, and
yes.
the hook is attached to it.
Yeah, so the entire guitar is covered in very pop kind of street pop, pen and ink, paint kind of stuff. Okay, just the artwork alone is enough to grab your attention. But then you kind of went a step further, and you've got translucent pick guards, plexi pick guards, right?
Yeah.
And so you can see all the electronics. I mean, they are so over the top, but not so much that it is. Sometimes too much is just too much.
Sure.
I saw these things, and I don't know how many people I forwarded it to, but my thumbs were getting tired typing. So can you just elaborate a little bit on how did that all come about, and where has it gone for you?
Yeah, okay. Well, my wife, Cora Jünger, she's an artist. She's a pop artist. She has done a lot of work on her own, but actually it's not easy to make money with art nowadays. And we were always thinking about why don't we collaborate in a way that we have to find a way to put the art or we have to try it out. Let's see how it works. I mean, if you see there's a lot of painted guitars. There's graphics on guitars has been done centuries, and then as her art is very two-dimensional, it's like comic or pop art. I thought, wow, that might really look great. And the first guitar we did was the Berlin guitar, where she had several layers of her artwork in the computer, and she was mixing it up like a collage. She was moving them over each other in various layers. And so we could find a way to even put the artwork around the body, which is normally not possible. I mean, yeah, we have to paint it. And so, and she was also creating layers which were, if you take a paper and move it around a body or around a piece of wood, then you see how the lines go. And so if you look at that guitar body, you can look from the side and you still recognize or see the motif. Mm-hmm. Which is not as easy if you just don't know about perspectives and how. That's all her. So she put a lot of work into this. And the first guitar was actually airbrush. We got a guy who did the artwork from Cora on the guitar. Mm-hmm. And the other, the last versions were, it's a method called Mod Podge, where you attach laser printed motifs to the guitar with a certain liquid, which is a mixture of glue and finish or varnish. And then you have to rub off the paper, and what's staying in the wood is the ink. And then you can finish it over.
Right.
And then that's now our technique, how we do it. So you have a transparency, you can see the wood. It's totally clear. Nothing is like milky or so. Mm-hmm. And even the fretboard, we did a version where the artwork is on the fretboard. We worked with acrylic dots, and we try to mix also the hardware. Like we have Sperzel tuners in bright lavender or purple. And this it's really fun to do this.
It looks like you're having a blast doing it. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
And like, shouldn't be any shocker, but I really like guitar knobs. And so
we have a huge collection.
Yeah. And just the idea of just, you're mixing and matching all over the place. So you got one of my favorite ones is just a little chicken head knob you've got on its own. I think there's one that was orange, just one orange chicken head. I was like, oh, I love that. Really cool.
Yeah, these things just happened in the last 15 minutes of assembling the guitar. We have a huge box with all these parts, and I was buying a lot of effect knobs in all kind of colors. And then we put the knobs on the guitar and decide, like, shall we take this? No, let's take this. And oh no, let's take this. And then, yeah, that's it. And then I assemble the guitar.
Yeah. It's really stunning. And it's just, it's one, every once in a while you see something and it just makes you so happy to look at from not just from a stimulus standpoint. You know, there are certain things that make you react and make you say like, wow, I really like that. But I personally, when I've got that, and this is why, you know, ultimately I started chasing you down, is because I said, this makes me happy, A.
Oh, okay.
B, I would really want to play that. But C, maybe more importantly, is that there's somebody out there who is pushing the boundaries, who is having fun and making a real, totally unique contribution to the world that I already love, the guitar world that I already love. So huge kudos on, you know, doing that, because that's not, I don't want to overstate this, but I think that's actually kind of a brave thing to do, because that's a lot of time and a lot of effort. And you can have one false move when you're making something in a more of a boutique manner that can stop the flow of traffic because people don't react well to it. You know, so for that reason, I think a lot of people tend to play it safe. And this is clearly not playing it safe, and not only in the design and everything, but, you know, I think some of the subject matter, the war guitar is, I mean, that's a statement.
Yeah, that's typical Cora. She wants to really, have attention with her art and make a statement with it. I mean, it's time to do this sometimes, and you have to use this. And
Guys, any last questions on the interview before we just kind of?
Yeah, I did have a question about the 12-string you did for Lee Ronaldo. Maybe you could forward on a closer picture. I was just trying to figure out how you did the tuning machines up on the top there. I mean, I know you did kind of like the offset reverse thing, but I couldn't see where the octave strings go in. Or is
I can, well, it was actually, the regular tuners are 6 right, and the other ones are left hand, or 6 left tuners, screwed right in between the other tuners.
Kind of like a Rickenbacker did.
Exactly, the same thing like on a Rickenbacker. And then we were drilling a hole on top, and we were drilling also a hole into the post. And actually, we cut off we shortened them.
Okay, and that was going to be my next question. Did you drill another hole? Because obviously, a standard post would go too far into the headstock.
So. Exactly. Yeah, we customized that, and then it was working.
Okay, and did you use any kind of ferrules or anything in the headstock to just right against the wood?
And just against the wood.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great solution for if for a 12-string in general without extending the headstock or putting them on both sides.
And to avoid any heavy-weighted necks, and so by having too large headstock and so.
Last thing that I think is worth noticing for any of the bass players out there who are listening, we try to throw a bass bone in every once in a while. We started our show off actually at the very beginning with 2 bass players as knobs, and they for various reasons had to say goodbye to the podcast. But so we haven't had a proper bass representative. But I think if you are into basses, you should check out he's got a bass on here that I had to double look because it's the Firestar bass, and it's got a vibrato on it. And I was like, what?
Some pretty thick strings for that, right? Or springs, I'm sorry, some pretty thick springs.
Yeah, I mean, the vibrato is manufactured by Hipshot, and they deliver it with a little bit bigger springs a little bit stronger, but not as much as you would expect. So, and I was so curious about, will this work? And actually, I have to say it works perfect.
That's awesome.
It does not go out of tune. It's really, obviously, there are not so much bass players using tremolo in their music, but it's fun. It's really fun to play.
Yeah.
Maybe they should.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they should. Well, we're going to segue out of our interview, which I think, it's easy to say we could go for another at least hour or two, because this has been a really fascinating discussion. Let's do Jared's warming up his vocal cords.
Would you rather? Would you rather?
Yes. So Frank has our question this week.
Yeah. Would you rather use a Vox AC30 top boost or a Marshall 50 watt or 45 watt blues breaker?
Oh man. All right. I'm going to roll the dice, the proverbial dice. And Tony.
Without a doubt, Vox AC30 top boost. Classic Beatle tone. Plus, you can fry eggs on it.
Well, that would sound pretty special with your favorite Rickenbacker, too. So.
Yes, it sounds very good.
Yes. Jared.
Well, I've never owned either of them. So, I'm more familiar with Marshall. So, because of that alone, I would go with the Vox. Although the Voxes are just so deep and mid and thick, Well,
that's what the top boost is for.
Right. Okay.
Top boost makes it bright.
I would go with that then. Definitely. I would go with in this case today, the would you rather. My answer is going to have to be the Vox.
Okay. And Frank?
Yeah. Also, I would go for the Vox. I just love the mid-range and how it's going to how it's sounding when it's saturated. And that was the first amp I heard in my youth also. So it remained in my head.
Interesting. Well, I actually just sold an AC15, and so I'm going with the Blues Breaker simply because I love the sound of the Vox, but I fought with it an awful lot. I just, for whatever reason, just me, myself, we couldn't hug each other enough. I don't know.
It wasn't working for you.
Yeah, I just couldn't.
Were you using it with the humbuckers or single coils?
Both.
Okay. They tend to be a lot friendlier to single coils, I think.
Yeah.
Humbuckers sometimes oversaturate.
Yeah, I did. That's what I found. So I think I love the idea of an original Blues Breaker. I think that'd be pretty sweet. So I'm going with that.
Yay!
Yes.
Fair enough.
All right, everybody. Well, Frank, we are so grateful that you took the time to spend with us, and now we're all friends forever.
BFFs.
My pleasure.
Yeah. And so, again, everyone, make sure you go check out Deimel Guitarworks. That's Deimel Guitarworks. And check them out on Instagram at Deimel Guitarworks. Please just spend some time looking at this guy's work. It's really great stuff. And definitely make sure to... Oh, you want me to say it? Subscribe!
Yeah.
Oh, my voice is really cracky from last night. Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit us at our website at theguitarknobs.com for episodes, news, and guest profiles. You can get all social with us on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/guitarknobs. Give us a tweet at guitar_knobs. And check out our gallery on Instagram at guitarknobs.